This is the real mystery of Baalbek, how these stones came to be there, why they were placed there, and specifically how they were transported into place.
In 2014, a team of researchers started digging near an old stone quarry and hit something impossible. They found a giant block of limestone so big it makes every other ancient wonder look like a toy. This stone weighs over 1 million pounds more than anything the Romans ever moved. While everyone was looking at the pretty temples above, this massive secret was hiding right under their feet.
Baalbek that are still interesting to me. One of them is you don't see the Roman foot in those stones, which is weird.
It changes everything we know about the ancient world, no question about it. If the Romans did not move these stones, then we are looking at a lost history. Ancient secrets, hiding in plain sight. Balbeck sits about 53 miles northeast of Beirut in a fertile valley that has been lived in for thousands of years. The Romans knew it as Heliopolis, the city of the sun. They turned it into one of the most ambitious religious sites in the empire. They built temples to Jupiter, Bacchus, and Venus that were bigger than almost anything in Rome itself. The Temple of Jupiter at Balbeck once had 54 columns, and each one was 72 feet tall. Today, only 6 remain standing, but they are still among the tallest columns in the Roman world. The whole place shows off classic Roman building styles, including detailed carvings and massive courtyards meant to make visitors feel small. For hundreds of years, scholars said the whole site was a Roman achievement. After all, the Romans took over the area around 15 BC, and building the temple complex started under Emperor Augustus. The history books seemed very clear this was a Roman win, plain and simple. But here is where it gets tricky. The foundation supporting these Roman temples, the actual platform where everything sits, is built using a totally different style. While the Roman buildings above use normal-sized blocks that Roman tools could handle, the foundation layer uses stones so big they make anything the Romans moved anywhere else look tiny. This is the part that does not make it into most guidebooks. Let us talk about the trilithon. These are 3 stone blocks that make up part of the western wall of the platform. Each block is about 62 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet deep. They weigh around 800 tons each. Some guesses put them closer to 1,000 tons, depending on the weight of the limestone. To put that in perspective, the largest stones used in the Great Pyramid of Egypt weigh about 80 tons. The trilithon blocks are 10 times heavier. The stones at Stonehenge weigh roughly 25 tons. The trilithon makes them look like small building blocks for kids. Wait, there is one big problem. In the quarry about half a mile away from the temple, there is a stone called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. It is still attached to the ground and was left behind in the middle of being cut. This single stone is about 67 feet long, 13 feet high, and 15 feet wide. The weight guess is at least 1,000 tons. Then in 2014, archaeologists found something beneath it. Another stone block, even larger, was guessed at 1,650 tons. They found a third giant stone nearby as well. These were not random rocks. They were carefully shaped, exact cut blocks that someone planned to move to the temple site. Think about what that means. Someone cut these stones. Someone used exact tools. Someone had a plan to move them nearly a mile and then lift them into place. But wait until you see the tools they did not have. The engineering mystery. The largest crane in the world today can lift about 20,000 tons, but it is a giant machine that stays in one spot. Mobile cranes usually top out around 1,200 tons only on flat, perfect ground. The ancient builders at Baalbek were working with no steel cables, no power systems, and no wheels. The rough ground made wheels useless anyway. They had no giant pulleys and only bronze or early iron tools at best. And they did not just move these stones, they put them 23 feet above the ground, fit them together with tiny gaps, and made them part of a platform that has survived many earthquakes for over 2,000 years. The exact work is what really confuses engineers. The trilithon blocks do not just sit on top of each other. They lock together with the stones around them using a style that requires each stone to be cut perfectly. The joints between the giant stones are so tight that you cannot fit a piece of paper between them. No glue, no filler, just stone on stone. Most folks have no idea that the tool marks do not match Roman styles. When Romans cut stone, they left specific marks from their tools. The Balbeck foundation stones show different marks, like smooth faces that suggest a different way of cutting that we do not connect with ancient Roman work. Then there is the mystery of moving them. The quarry is half a mile away across ground that is not flat. How do you move an 800-ton block across uneven ground using only rope, wood, and human or animal power? Some researchers think they use logs as rollers. Let us look at the real facts on that. An 800-ton stone would need rollers made from the strongest wood, likely the cedar of Lebanon. Each roller would need to be at least 3 feet thick to hold the weight. You would need to keep replacing them because they would crack and turn to splinters under the weight. You would have to constantly move them from the back to the front as the stone moved. Even if this was possible, you would need thousands of workers pulling at the exact same time. We are talking about 10,000 to 40,000 workers. They would all have to work in perfect teams with a communication system we have no record of. And then somehow they lifted these stones 23 feet into the air. The task looks almost impossible to modern engineers. The Romans were masters of building, but their recorded wins do not include anything this big. The largest stones they moved for other jobs, like the columns for Trajan's column or the tall stones brought from Egypt, weighed at most 300 tons. Those jobs were recorded as amazing feats that pushed Roman skill to the limit. The Balbeck foundation blocks are nearly 3 times heavier than Rome's most ambitious moving projects. Yet we have no Roman records describing how they did it. No proud writing on the walls, no building plans, and no historian writing about the miracle. Just silence. The real secret is actually hiding in the dirt nearby. The silent foundation. This is the part that makes absolutely no sense. The Romans were obsessed with recording what they did. They carved their names everywhere and made sure everyone knew who built what. We know exactly who built the Colosseum and when it was finished. We know who built the Pantheon. Roman pride was huge. So where are the records for the Balbeck foundation? There are Roman writings at Balbeck, sure, but they talk about the temples on top, not the giant platform. No emperor takes credit for moving the trilithon. No builder's name is kept. No historian from that time mentions the amazing act of moving stones that weigh 1,000 tons. Important writers from that time wrote all about Roman building wonders. They talked about construction in great detail, but none of them mentioned the giant Balbeck stones. This silence is very strange. What we do have are later Roman parts added to the site. They use smaller stones and normal building styles. It is as if the Romans found a platform that was already there and built their temples on top of it. They added their own style to the top but left the giant foundation alone. Some archaeologists say the foundation is Roman and was built in the 1st century. But this idea has problems. If the Romans built the foundation, why use a totally different style than they used everywhere else? Why create a challenge for themselves that was harder than anything they tried in Rome? And why leave those stones in the quarry? The stone of the pregnant woman and the others suggest that the work stopped suddenly. Something ended the project halfway through. The stones were ready to go and then just left there for 2,000 years. This pattern of leaving things behind suggests a group of people that disappeared before finishing their work. When the Romans arrived hundreds or even thousands of years later, they found these massive stones already in place. They built their temples on top, just like later groups built on top of ruins all over the ancient world. Evidence shows people lived at Balbeck at least 9,000 years ago. That is 7,000 years before the Romans got there. The site was special long before Jupiter had a temple. Old cultures lived there for thousands of years, but none of these known groups had the technology to move 1,000-ton stones either. So if the Romans did not build it, who did? Now we have to look at the machines that fail today. Built for eternity. If you look a little closer, you find the real story. Some researchers point to how the stones have aged. The giant foundation blocks show wear from the weather that looks much older than the Roman buildings above them. They suggest these stones were sitting out in the rain and wind for thousands of years longer. There is also the way they were built. Roman structures were made to be seen and to show off power. They are decorated and pretty, The giant foundation is only about being strong. No decorations, no writing, no art, just giant stones fitted together for one reason, to make a platform that would last forever. This suggests different builders with different goals separated by a long time. The other timeline looks like this. A group of people we do not know about used lost secrets to build the foundation long ago. They had knowledge we have lost, maybe including a better way to use weight and balance. Their work was either stopped or finished and then left behind. Thousands of years later, other groups like the Romans found these foundations and built on them. Each group added their own part, but they never matched the skill of the first builders. This would explain why Roman records say nothing. They were building on a platform they found, not one they made. It explains why the styles are different. And it explains why the most amazing part of Balbeck gets no credit from the people who supposedly built it. In recent years, new tech has shown details that old experts missed. 3D scans of the stones show they are not just cut well. They show a deep understanding of how to handle weight in earthquakes that seems too advanced for that time. The way the stones lock together actually makes the building safer during an earthquake because they can move just a little bit without falling down. Lebanon sits on a line where earthquakes happen often. Many strong quakes have hit the area over time. The Roman columns above have fallen many times and only 6 are left. But the giant foundation has not moved an inch. Not a single one of those massive stones has shifted or cracked. Modern engineers trying to figure this out have a clear answer. It cannot be done with the tools we thought they had back then. But there is one more secret buried deep underground. The precision alone would need tools they did not have. In 2014, finding 2 more giant stones in the quarry got everyone excited again. These were not just rocks. They were shaped for a building, which means whoever cut them meant to move them. The fact that they are not finished shows that something stopped the work very fast. Recently, radar that looks through the ground has shown even more foundation parts under the stones we can see. This means the platform goes even deeper. There might be more giant building work hidden for thousands of years. Most of the focus is on the Roman ruins, and people barely talk about the giant foundation that makes everything else possible. Do you think the Romans really moved these 1,000-ton blocks without leaving a single record of how they did it? Or are we looking at the work of a much older group that had secrets we still do not understand today? It makes you wonder what else is hiding under the ground that we are just walking right over. If you enjoyed this mystery, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you do not miss our next search for the truth.